Imagine you're carrying a backpack. It's heavy, filled with all sorts of things, some important, some not. But here's the twist. Most of what's inside isn't even yours. So why are you carrying it? It's weighing you down, slowing you down, and making your journey harder than it needs to be. We all carry burdens in life. We hold on to things, expectations, regrets, judgments, that don't belong to us. And it's not until we let go of them that we realize how much lighter we can be. Today, I want to talk about the importance of staying light and not carrying what isn't yours. Clarity of purpose is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without it, we drift through life, reacting to circumstances rather than consciously choosing our path. When we have clarity, we know exactly why we do what we do. It's not about the tasks we accomplish or the goals we set. It's about understanding the deeper reason behind them. When we are clear about our purpose, it acts like a compass, guiding us through challenges and opportunities. It helps us make decisions with confidence because we can ask ourselves, does this align with my purpose? If the answer is yes, we move forward. If it's no, we can let go of that particular pursuit, not feeling guilty or burdened. We understand that we don't need to carry everything that comes our way, only what is aligned with the deeper why behind our actions. Clarity allows us to recognize that there are things, both internal and external, that don't serve our greater purpose. The expectations others place on us, the judgments they form, and even our own insecurities, all of these can cloud our sense of direction. But when we get clear on what truly matters to us, we begin to shed those external influences that have no place in our journey. It's like entering a room full of distractions. If you don't have a clear goal in mind, you'll be drawn to everything around you. But if you know exactly why you're there, your focus sharpens, and the distractions fade away. The more defined our purpose is, the more discerning we become about what deserves our time and energy. In a world that constantly pulls us in different directions, clarity of purpose acts as the anchor. It doesn't let us be swept away by the current of societal expectations, peer pressure, or the fear of missing out. Instead, it grounds us in our own beliefs and desires, creating a sense of confidence and direction that helps us prioritize what really matters. This clarity helps us build the courage to say no to things that are not aligned with our purpose, creating space for what truly drives us. Without clarity, we are often weighed down by indecision, doubt, and frustration. We become overwhelmed by the noise of life and end up carrying burdens that were never meant for us. Clarity doesn't just give us direction, it also frees us from unnecessary baggage. It gives us the strength to leave behind anything that doesn't support our vision or help us move toward our goals. When you have clarity, you carry only what is essential. You stop holding on to what others expect of you, to past mistakes that hold no power, and to the doubts that cloud your judgment. You focus on what is truly yours to carry, what moves you forward, and what aligns with your deepest values. External expectations are like invisible chains that bind us to a path we never chose for ourselves. They come from all directions: society, family, friends, colleagues, and often we carry them without even realizing it. These expectations may seem harmless at first, but over time they accumulate and weigh us down. They create a sense of obligation, not inspiration. The weight of these expectations can be so overwhelming that we forget why we started on our own journey in the first place. At the core of this burden is the pressure to meet certain standards that aren't even our own. Society tells us what success should look like: a high-paying job, a beautiful house, a perfect family, and the list goes on. These external markers of success become the yardstick by which we measure our worth. And suddenly, our personal goals and dreams take a backseat to a checklist that was never ours to begin with. We find ourselves running a race that we didn't enter voluntarily, constantly comparing ourselves to others and questioning if we're doing enough. Family and friends, too, play a role in this dynamic. Their expectations, often based on love and concern, can sometimes push us toward paths we might not have chosen for ourselves. Parents may want their children to follow in their footsteps, to pursue careers they deem respectable or profitable. Friends may have their own vision of what success looks like, nudging us to conform to societal standards. These well-meaning influences can quickly turn into expectations that feel more like demands, adding layers of pressure that we carry on our shoulders without fully understanding their origin. The problem with external expectations is that they are based on other people's definitions of what is important or valuable, not our own. When we try to live up to these standards, we may achieve outward success, but the internal satisfaction and fulfillment remain elusive. We become so focused on meeting these expectations that we lose sight of our own values and desires. It becomes less about personal growth and more about performing for the outside world. In the workplace, this is even more apparent. The expectation to constantly achieve, to climb the corporate ladder, and to prove ourselves can lead us into a cycle of burnout and frustration. We become trapped in a never-ending pursuit of approval, often at the expense of our own well-being and happiness. Instead of finding meaning in the work we do, we start chasing accolades and promotions, thinking they will bring us the fulfillment we are desperately seeking. But they never do, because they were never our true desires to begin with. As these external expectations pile up, we may start to doubt our worth. We may feel like we are never doing enough, that we're not measuring up to the standards others have set for us. This constant pressure can cause anxiety, stress, and a loss of self-esteem. We begin to question if we are good enough as we are, or if we need to constantly be more successful, more attractive, more accomplished, to finally be worthy of love, respect, or success. The weight of these expectations also stifles creativity and authenticity. When we're busy trying to meet the standards set by others, we rarely make room for our own original thoughts, ideas, or passions. We start to follow a script that someone else wrote for us, abandoning the possibility of creating our own unique story. Our lives become defined by other people's needs, desires, and opinions rather than our own. Furthermore, the weight of external expectations can create a sense of isolation. As we try to meet these standards, we may alienate ourselves from others who don't understand or share our journey. We hide parts of ourselves, pretending to be something we're not, in order to gain approval or acceptance. This leaves us feeling disconnected and alone, as we struggle to maintain a facade that doesn't reflect our true selves. In all of this, we often forget that we have the power to release these expectations. We have the choice to evaluate which expectations truly align with our values, and which ones are merely burdens we've been conditioned to carry. The freedom lies in recognizing that we are not obligated to live up to anyone else's standards but our own. When we begin to let go of these external pressures, we create space for our own authenticity, for what truly matters to us, and for the pursuit of our own dreams, on our own terms. Forgiveness is one of the most transformative acts we can practice, yet it is often misunderstood. People assume that forgiveness is about excusing bad behavior or forgetting past wrongs, but in reality, forgiveness is not for the person who wronged you, it's for you. It's an act of liberation, a choice to free yourself from the emotional chains that bind you to a past that no longer serves you. When someone hurts us, whether through words or actions, we often carry that pain with us. It sits heavy on our hearts, festering over time, creating bitterness and resentment. These feelings can cloud our judgment, distort our perception of others, and rob us of peace. Holding on to anger and pain is like holding a hot coal in your hand, expecting the other person to feel the burn. But in reality, it's you who suffers. Forgiveness, however, is not about denying the hurt or pretending it never happened. It's about choosing to let go of the emotional weight that the hurt has created. It's acknowledging that while you cannot change the past, you have control over how it affects you moving forward. The power of forgiveness lies in your ability to release the grip that the wrongdoer has over your emotions, thereby regaining control of your own peace and happiness. There's a common misconception that forgiving means allowing others to walk all over us, to repeat their mistakes without consequences. But that's not true forgiveness. True forgiveness is about releasing the emotional burden of anger, not the responsibility of the person who wronged you. Forgiveness doesn't mean you condone the actions of others. It simply means that you are no longer letting their actions dictate your emotional state. You are no longer allowing their wrongdoing to occupy space in your life. The power of forgiveness is also in its ability to heal. When we forgive, we free ourselves from the grip of negative emotions that keep us stuck in the past. We release the energy we've spent holding on to grudges and allow that energy to be redirected toward healing and growth. Forgiveness creates space within us for positive emotions like compassion, understanding, and even empathy. It doesn't mean that the wound immediately disappears or that trust is restored right away. But it does mean that we are no longer held hostage by the hurt. We begin to rebuild from a place of emotional freedom. Forgiving others is also a powerful act of self-care. When we hold onto grudges, we allow the other person's actions to continue affecting us, often for years after the incident. We carry their wrongdoing like a weight that continues to drag us down, even if they've moved on with their lives. Forgiveness, then, becomes a way of taking back control over our own well-being. It's an acknowledgement that our mental and emotional health are more important than the resentment we may feel. By forgiving, we let go of the mental burden that the other person imposed on us, enabling us to live with more clarity, peace, and joy. Forgiveness is not an instant process. It's a journey, often requiring time and self-reflection. The first step is often recognizing that we have been hurt and acknowledging the pain. It's important to allow ourselves to feel that pain fully, to process the emotions associated with it. Only then can we begin to understand the true impact of the situation and take responsibility for how we choose to move forward. Forgiveness is a choice, not an automatic reaction, and it often requires a shift in perspective. We may need to see the situation through the lens of compassion, understanding that the person who hurt us is likely carrying their own pain, limitations, and struggles. The act of forgiving also extends to forgiving ourselves. We are often our own harshest critics, holding on to guilt, shame, and regret over mistakes we've made. We judge ourselves for not being perfect, for not meeting our own standards, or for decisions we regret. But just as we extend forgiveness to others, we must also extend it to ourselves. We must understand that we are human, that we are fallible, and that we deserve the same compassion and understanding that we give to others. Holding on to guilt only keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-punishment, preventing us from moving forward and growing. Forgiving ourselves allows us to learn from our mistakes and use them as stepping stones toward a better future, rather than allowing them to define us. Forgiveness also holds the power to transform relationships. When we forgive, we are not only freeing ourselves, but also opening the door for healing and connection with the other person. It allows for reconciliation, not by erasing the past, but by creating a space where both parties can learn, grow, and rebuild trust. Forgiveness can pave the way for deeper understanding, empathy, and a renewed sense of mutual respect. It doesn't always mean that the relationship will return to what it once was, but it does mean that the possibility for a new, more evolved relationship exists. The power of forgiveness is ultimately about freedom. The freedom to let go of what weighs us down, the freedom to heal, and the freedom to move forward with a sense of peace and emotional clarity. It is not a sign of weakness but of strength, as it takes courage to release the hold that past pain can have over us. Forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves, a way to reclaim our emotional well-being and step into a future that is no longer defined by the past. Trusting the process is one of the most challenging yet most rewarding aspects of personal growth and success. It's the art of surrendering control and allowing things to unfold in their own time, without forcing outcomes or rushing through the journey. Often, we want immediate results. We want to see the fruits of our labor right away. But real transformation takes time, patience, and faith in a process that, at times, feels uncertain or even slow. The essence of trusting the process is acknowledging that the path we're on is the right one, even when we don't see the immediate results or understand why things are happening the way they are. When we trust the process, we step away from the need for instant gratification and embrace the idea that growth happens in stages. Each step we take, no matter how small it seems, is part of a larger picture that we may not yet fully understand. We may feel discouraged when progress seems slow or when obstacles seem to block our way, but it's important to remember that these challenges are part of the process. They are not signs that we're on the wrong path. They are simply part of the journey. In fact, they are often the lessons we need in order to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Trusting the process is also about letting go of the need to control everything. Life has a way of throwing us curveballs, and when we try to control every situation, every outcome, we end up more stressed, more anxious, and less able to enjoy the journey. Control is an illusion. It creates the false belief that we can predict and manipulate the future. But in reality, there are so many factors beyond our control. We can plan, we can prepare, and we can work hard, but we must also acknowledge that there is always an element of uncertainty in everything we do. Trusting the process means surrendering the need for certainty and allowing ourselves to move forward, even when the next step is unclear. When we are in the midst of a process, whether it's personal growth, career development, or building relationships, it's easy to get discouraged when we don't see immediate results. We live in a world that values speed and instant outcomes. Social media, advertising, and the culture at large are constantly telling us that we should be achieving things quickly. This mindset can make us impatient, leading us to question our progress or even feel like we're failing. However, the truth is that real progress often happens quietly, behind the scenes, in ways we might not immediately recognize. Trusting the process means acknowledging that things are happening even when they aren't visible on the surface. There is power in patience. When we trust the process, we learn to embrace the waiting. We learn to be present in the moment rather than fixating on the destination. We begin to realize that the value of the journey is just as important, if not more important, than the destination itself. Every step we take, no matter how seemingly insignificant, is shaping us into the person we need to become to achieve our goals. The struggles, the failures, and the moments of doubt are all part of the process that leads to success. They are not setbacks, but rather stepping stones on the way to a greater understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The beauty of trusting the process lies in the growth that happens when we let go of our expectations. When we release the need to control the outcome, we open ourselves up to opportunities and experiences that we might have otherwise missed. Trusting the process allows us to be more adaptable, more open to change, and more willing to accept that things won't always go as planned. Instead of trying to force things to happen, we allow them to unfold naturally, with the understanding that what's meant for us will find its way to us in due time. Moreover, trusting the process helps us build resilience. Every setback, every obstacle, and every challenge presents an opportunity to strengthen our character. Trusting that things will work out, even when it feels like they won't, requires faith. It requires the ability to look beyond the immediate discomfort and see the bigger picture. It requires the understanding that things may not always make sense in the moment, but in time, we'll see how every part of the journey fits together. This resilience is built not through perfection, but through persistence, the willingness to keep going even when the path is unclear. Another aspect of trusting the process is embracing the uncertainty that comes with it. When we trust the process, we are accepting that life is unpredictable and that we cannot control every outcome. Uncertainty can feel uncomfortable, but it is also where the magic happens. It is in uncertainty that we find room for creativity, innovation, and new possibilities. When we are no longer bogged down by the need to know every step ahead, we create space for intuition and inspiration to guide us. Trusting the process is about leaning into that uncertainty and trusting that the unknown holds the potential for growth and transformation. We must also understand that trust does not mean passivity. Trusting the process is not about sitting back and waiting for things to happen on their own. It's about putting in the effort, doing the work, and showing up consistently while having faith that our efforts will pay off. It's a balance of action and patience, working diligently toward our goals while trusting that the results will come when the time is right. It's understanding that the work itself is part of the process, and that through our dedication and persistence, we will gradually move closer to the outcomes we desire. When we trust the process, we develop a deeper sense of inner peace. We no longer waste energy worrying about what we cannot control, or fixating on what hasn't happened yet. Instead, we learn to trust that we are exactly where we need to be, doing exactly what we need to do. The sense of peace that comes with trusting the process allows us to move through life with greater ease, knowing that we are playing an active role in our journey, but we don't have to control every detail. Letting go is often seen as an act of surrender, of giving up or losing something valuable, but in truth, letting go is one of the most powerful ways to reclaim our freedom and peace. It is not about losing, it is about making space for what truly matters, for what can help us grow, and for the new possibilities that lie ahead. Letting go is a conscious choice to release what no longer serves us, whether that be physical possessions, toxic relationships, outdated beliefs, or past hurts, and to create room for a future that is aligned with our authentic selves. One of the most profound acts of letting go is releasing the weight of the past. We often carry memories, regrets, and experiences from our past like a heavy suitcase that we drag with us everywhere we go. These memories, while they shape who we are, don't have to define us or control our present. The pain of past mistakes or the bitterness of past betrayals can hold us hostage, trapping us in a cycle of resentment, guilt, or grief. But the truth is, the past is already gone. No matter how tightly we hold on to it, it cannot be changed. Letting go of the past is not about forgetting. It's about recognizing that the past no longer has the power to control our thoughts, our actions, or our emotions. It is about understanding that we are not bound by our history, and we are free to create a future that is built on the lessons, not the pain, of our past. Letting go also involves releasing the need for control. As humans, we are often driven by a desire to control the outcomes of our lives. We want to predict, plan, and micromanage every aspect of our journeys, but in trying to control everything, we only create stress and anxiety. We become afraid of uncertainty, afraid of failure, and afraid of making the wrong choice. Yet, life is inherently unpredictable, and the more we try to control it, the more we restrict ourselves from experiencing its fullness. Letting go of the need for control means accepting that there are things beyond our reach, that not everything can be planned, and that uncertainty is simply a part of life. It is about relinquishing the illusion of control and embracing the freedom that comes with trusting the journey. By letting go of control, we open ourselves to new possibilities, to opportunities we may never have considered, and to the natural flow of life that will guide us toward our true purpose. Sometimes, letting go means letting go of people relationships that drain us, limit us, or hold us back from becoming the best versions of ourselves. This is often one of the hardest aspects of letting go. We may feel guilt or fear about distancing ourselves from someone we care about, especially if that person has been in our life for a long time. However, it's important to understand that not all relationships are meant to last forever, and not all relationships are healthy or supportive. Letting go of toxic or draining relationships is an act of self-love and respect. It's about recognizing that you deserve to be surrounded by people who lift you up, who respect your boundaries, and who encourage you to grow. When you let go of relationships that no longer serve you, you make room for new connections, ones that align with your values, your energy, and your vision for your life. It's a difficult process, but it's necessary for your own well-being and personal growth. Another significant aspect of letting go is releasing the need for perfection. Perfectionism is a constant battle with ourselves, a relentless pursuit of an ideal that doesn't exist. We often hold ourselves to impossibly high standards, constantly striving to be better, to do more, and to achieve the perfect outcome. But in this pursuit, we lose sight of the beauty in the process, in the progress, and in the imperfection of being human. Letting go of the need for perfection is an act of self-compassion. It's about embracing who we are right now, in this moment, with all our flaws and imperfections. It's about understanding that our worth is not defined by our achievements or the flawless execution of our plans, but by the effort, the heart, and the intention behind everything we do. When we let go of perfection, we free ourselves to be authentic, to make mistakes, and to enjoy the journey, knowing that the process itself is where the true growth happens. Letting go also means releasing the fear of failure. Failure is often seen as something to avoid at all costs, but in reality, failure is a powerful teacher. It is through failure that we learn, adapt, and grow stronger. Yet, many of us fear failure so much that we avoid taking risks, trying new things, or stepping outside of our comfort zones. This fear of failure can paralyze us, preventing us from pursuing our dreams and realizing our potential. Letting go of the fear of failure is about shifting our mindset to one of growth. It's about recognizing that failure is not the end, but rather a stepping stone on the path to success. When we let go of the fear of failure, we open ourselves to new experiences, new challenges, and new opportunities. We give ourselves permission to try, to learn, and to fail, knowing that each experience brings us closer to who we are meant to become. Finally, letting go is about shedding the weight of limiting beliefs and self-doubt. We all have an inner critic, that voice that tells us we're not good enough, that we're not capable, or that we don't deserve success and happiness. These beliefs, often ingrained from childhood or from past experiences, can hold us back from pursuing our true potential. Letting go of limiting beliefs is an act of empowerment. It's about recognizing that our past experiences, our failures, or the opinions of others do not define us. We have the power to create our own story, to rewrite our narrative, and to choose beliefs that empower us, not restrict us. When we let go of these limiting beliefs, we step into a space of possibility. We begin to see ourselves as capable, worthy, and deserving of all the abundance and success the world has to offer. Embracing the freedom of letting go is about releasing the things, people, and beliefs that weigh us down, and making room for the new, the authentic, and the life we are meant to live. It's about choosing to be lighter, freer, and more open to the endless possibilities that exist when we stop clinging to what no longer serves us. Letting go is not a loss, it is a gain. It is the key to living a life filled with peace, purpose, and unlimited potential. In the end, letting go is not just an act of release, it is an act of profound empowerment. It is about freeing ourselves from the shackles of the past, from the weight of expectations, from the need to control every aspect of our lives, and from the limiting beliefs that keep us small. Letting go creates the space for transformation, for healing, and for growth. It invites us to trust the journey, to embrace uncertainty, and to accept that we are constantly evolving. When we let go, we allow ourselves the freedom to live authentically, to pursue our true passions, and to experience life with a sense of openness and possibility. It is through the act of letting go that we uncover the true strength within us, the strength to adapt, to move forward, and to create the life we truly desire. The freedom of letting go is not about losing anything. It is about gaining everything that is aligned with our purpose, our happiness, and our future. Letting go, ultimately, is the gateway to a life filled with peace, clarity, and infinite potential.